Hi guys, and welcome to today's Cashflow Digital, where we have the usual suspects, Brad and Mike, and we have Joshua Fletcher as this week's special guest. So, Mike, do you want to introduce Josh? Because you guys have got history, you guys are mates, and yeah, I'm just going to ramble.
Absolutely, man, for sure. So I think we met, I would say it was 2015.
Probably
I
there.
think
Yeah.
it was probably a Jimmy's event, dude. I think is where we met.
First time. Yeah.
And that's where I met Brad as well. So that was
I was in the bathroom the whole time at that event because Mike Long was buying me too many margaritas. And then I lay down at the end of the night. It's still spinning. I was like, oh, no. That whole next day at the second day of the event, I was gone.
It was cool.
It was fun.
It was a fun event. You know, I remember I met you and Cotton at the same time at the little bar down the street from.
I think Marfolio was down there too. Yeah. Yep.
Was he there? Yeah.
I think so. Yep.
The whole gang was there.
Yeah, there the little outside patio there in Austin, downtown Austin. That was a kind of fun hangout. Right.
Hey Fred. Hey Paul. What's up, Holly?
Holly Starks as well. She's in
so.
here.
After that, I want to just kind of get your.
Then you did
go ahead, Brad.
Yeah, you and Derek did the OMG 2.0 and went to that event again. You know.
In Franklin.
Yeah, in Franklin. Yeah,
Yep.
That was an adventure of an event too. I ended up in a bathtub, sleeping, and I actually remember carrying.
We just gotta have a show that like talks about SEO escapades. We might all go to prison after we admit everything.
Yeah, I think I may have stolen a car at that event as well, just for a short period of time. I returned it
what's the statute of limitations on murder, dude?
We need to know
7 years, I think.
Yeah, right. We're good, right? No, I remember I picked up Angel Cruz off a floor and stuck him in a bed at that event. That was a weird freaking event, dude.
Yeah.
Walked into my room and there's like 6 people in it.
About 20 people were sharing one room. I was like, I'm glad I'm not staying here.
This smells kind of funky.
Dirty hostel.
Not sure what this is.
So we should be professional, though, and I'm supposed to ask you some questions. Tell me a little bit about yourself. And actually, after that event, so let's start in 2015. You did lead gen for a long time, right, Fletch?
Yeah. I didn't really have an intention of becoming like a digital marketer or an SEO, right? Specifically, I had a construction company. I was a general contractor here in Phoenix, Arizona. We did home improvement for energy efficiency purposes. And I was like kind of a one-man gang style, construction company. So I had subs. I'd go out, I'd look at people's houses, climb around in their attics, reverse pressurize their house and figure out how much leakage there was, and then their ductwork. Like I was like a building scientist, right? And then on the back end of that, we sold prescriptive measures that were tied in with utility company rebates. And so I was plugged in with the utility companies as a source of phone calls for me, right? They had their whole campaign. They were sending out mailers and doing radio ads and TV spots and all that kind of thing. And so I got plugged into that program, and they decided to stop it. And pretty much overnight, the new calls ceased because I had a website. I didn't know how the hell to build it. I didn't get any traffic to it. And I got some referral business, and we did well on the jobs we got, but I didn't get any new calls. And so I kind of limped along for a little while, and never forget this day. I don't know how deep we want to get, but I was climbing around in an attic in Glendale, Arizona, which is it's in the metro area here.
Nice and cool.
Cool. I think it may have been about 152 up in that mother. Right. Yeah. And it was not even middle of the summer yet. I'm like, oh, this is going to be a beast. And my pregnant wife called me to let me know that the utility company had turned our water off because we were late to pay on the bills. And so I'm like, oh, hell. All right. So she's like, I wanted to give you a heads up because I had to go pick up our oldest daughter and let her know that she couldn't take a shower that night. So it was a long drive home, not just because I drive slow. In the 1972 orange International Travelall with a maroon interior that I had at the time.
On, dude.
Clunking home. Yeah.
Oh, it was like one of those things. I'm like taking extra turns to like, what do I
I've been there, man.
This, right? And so got kind of through that evening, and the next morning I put my old, 2006 MacBook Pro that weighs like 12 pounds, had no battery, had no internet at the house, and walked over to Starbucks, which is walking distance from the house, and jumped online to try to figure out what I could do to get some new calls. Right. I wasn't like fully stuck, but I realized that I was in a dead end, and I needed to get some different training and a different understanding of business in general to be able to, take care of my family.
So that leads me to a question. Now, this is a question that I have because I started a lot before training was out there to do this shit. Did you pay for training when you were in that situation? Did you take that leap and did you buy training, or did you dig and look and just figure it out yourself? Like, what did you do from that moment?
I didn't have time. So I sold tools and I got a title loan on that truck, and I got into a payment plan with OMG Machines.
Okay.
And got training from Greg Morrison, who we kind of mentioned earlier, and started to sort out what I could do to get organic traffic from Google, right? Free traffic. You got to put some work into getting it, but at that point,
ain't no such thing as a free lunch, right?
No, there isn't.
There's some work involved. Yeah.
It was probably cheaper for you to figure it out than it was for me. I'll tell you that. Having the guidance and shit, man. It took me years and years and a lot of freaking money and a lot of heartache, dude. And so there is, but that takes balls. And when you're in that situation and they're shutting down utilities, I mean, I've been there when they're shutting down utilities, and I don't know if I would have made the decision because it wasn't the cheapest training out there, but it was the best at the time, in my opinion. It
was straightforward. It was something that I could understand and follow and implement, and that implementation piece is huge. Right?
It is.
If you get too far away from that, from like the standpoint of wherever you are versus what you need to do to put in place. And I'm like, well, I can figure out what WordPress is about. I can go in there and figure out title tags and URLs and the other stuff and spin tax. I was sitting like I couldn't pay for the spin tax software. So I'm just like writing it.
I did the same thing when I joined
brackets and all that stuff.
Bro.
Yeah.
Sitting in the best spinner and just
it was funny. I saw one time. One of those guys had something that was spun 200% or whatever. I was like, how the fuck did they do 200%? But they were just
trying to get the 30%.
Yeah, exactly.
Dude, you're like literally like in there. I remember sentences being like freaking 2 paragraphs long.
My vocabulary expanded quite a bit during that time.
Oh, hell yeah, it does.
Synonym.
That's what I did when I was coming up, is when I was doing a lot of affiliate, is if I had something that I was interested in and I wanted to learn about it, I went and found an affiliate program for it and built a website. And
that helps with write-offs too.
It does help with write-offs quite a bit, actually. What's interesting is that you guys know, I think you all know Alex Gould, except maybe Craig. He gave me the biggest way forward with people when they come to me and say, I want to start internet marketing and can you help me out? And he was like, I tell them to go start a blog and write 20 posts and then come to me and ask the questions they want to ask. And done it a few times since then. And once you get in there, I think that's the thing that you had the benefit of doing. Yeah, it's a bad situation, but we come through bad situations stronger. You had to get in there. You had to do the shit yourself. You couldn't afford to pay someone to do it from day one. It makes you understand it in a deeper level. I always say that having the HTML knowledge and some programming knowledge makes shit easier. I wish I was a programmer. It would make SEO extremely easy.
Make hacking a lot easier. I know that.
Well, that's why it's nice with like NFGP and shit, where it's a graphical programming interface that people are using, because now you have the ability to be a programmer and SEO at the same time. And it's kind of neat. So you got in. How long did it take for you to start turning a profit with the business you had after you started doing the training, man?
Well, this was during the days of GSA, and I built 60 websites over 45 days, and all of them were ranking. They were EMDs, exact match domains, and they were things that I did myself, right? So they were things I could take the call, talk shop, go out to the house, do the whole thing. And so, people are selling phone calls. I was buying phone calls at a time from like Home Advisor and some of these other crap services. And so I kind of understood the value. It's like, well, I go do a good job. I make $1,000, in a half a day, right, on the construction project. And so I had kind of the full vertical going on there. So, like I said, I didn't have any intention in getting into it, but I also didn't know how to hire people and I didn't know how to get people in the field, like foremen and things like that. So at a certain point, I had so many, like I'd be on a call with a customer and I'd have two people leave me voicemails. And I'm like, okay, well, I got to figure out something different. And, kind of thankfully I'd stumbled upon understanding different phone numbers on different websites. And so they were all coming in and they were tracked and had recordings of them. And I just approached like the first sub. And I'm like, you guys are busier, way busier with my projects than you were before. I was, slow to pay those guys because, money was just tight. And I got caught up during that time. And I say that time, 6 months, give or take, and I'm like, I can just forward these phone calls directly to you. And you can, it was really organically grown, right? I'm not saying I figured it out, but I figured it out from my own perspective. Other people had been doing it obviously for a long time, but the first leads I sold were in insulation and HVAC and solar. And
did they have the infrastructure to handle the volume of leads?
Yeah, all of them. I had sales floors, right? And they had 3 to 5 crews a piece.
Mm-hmm. Nice.
And at that time we went from, I was getting like maybe 3 calls a month to like actually booking three jobs a day.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I had the volume where I'm like, okay, at that point I was like, for me personally, a light bulb went off and it's like, oh, I can really provide value here in a way that I have not done before and scale this because I don't have to hire people necessarily. And now I can go out and build a whole bunch more sites. And so what wound up happening is the solar company bought a whole block of websites that were solar related off of me for like $15K. Yeah. And I got to take the kids to Disneyland and, have a good time. And I didn't have to worry about my friggin' debit card saying declined or whatever it might be. And again, it was just kind of organically, like I got on a flight to go to one of these events, and on the way back, was sitting next to a lady that was with a credit union who was like in the business department. She was looking at getting small business loans up for them. And I was like, yeah, we can take that on for you or whatever. She's like, we got 15 locations, and I'd never done like multi-site, multi-location, different types of things. And so, it just kind of grew from there. I didn't have the agency website I built, Search Explosion's kind of the first one. I didn't build it to get customers. I built it as like an example site. Like I can build this, I can rank it for SEO Phoenix, SEO. Like it's been on page 1 for like 7 years with some of the stuff I've learned from Mike and Jimmy. We talked about like some of these different things. It's just like you can be really efficient and effective and get good results. But I didn't really treat that agency as, I really focused on inbound, but not in the digital marketing space. And so over this last year, I realized that, well, I can probably help more people if I focus on getting those systems addressed in my digital marketing agency, so that we're prospecting and generating leads for ourselves, closing the sales, and then onboarding them properly in a way that doesn't have to have me involved as much as it used
So
to.
have you noticed, like as we've developed, I know, like I've looked at, like I see SEO, I see traffic generation through paid, I see all of those as like tactics in a business. At one point I considered myself an SEO, then I became a businessman, right? So what we've been trying to do for the last 4 or 5 years is just automate as much of that whole process as possible. And to me, getting rid of the effort of SEO, getting rid of the effort of paid, getting rid of all this stuff is what's kind of key in the evolution of this kind of business, especially when you're in lead generation like you and I, and we all are here. And so that's kind of what we've been focusing on lately and focusing on in the coming year. Now, is that how you see it, or do you see it as a major focus? Like, because it's kind of like what I see. You did the same thing as us. We created websites that looked like an agency because there was opportunity to make money if we had that, not because we wanted to try to make money. That was an after effect, right? So we kind of came into it the same way towards agency, and we started a lot of agencies in the past because of that. But like, I guess I'm trying to say where your philosophy lies. Is the agency foremost and the SEO foremost, or is it all a offset of selling the actual data to make money? Like, where do you see the cut?
Yeah, it's a good question. One of the things I kind of mentioned is like representing things properly. And so I'm getting a little bit of an echo. I don't know if it's not.
Yeah,
for me
I
because
think
I've got
it's
my cans
it got
on, but
taken care of.
it's
Yeah.
regardless. Okay, cool. The like business in general, right? A lot of people look at, I've got a business. Okay, well, what's your offer, right? You've got to start to understand and represent things properly in your own mind. And so with whatever you're doing, you've got to look at like traffic, you've got to look at conversion, you've got to look at fulfillment. And I like to kind of re-represent or change those words up a little bit. You've got to have a relationship with somebody and get them to make a decision they don't later regret, and then fulfill on that, right? So with lead generation, you're kind of really focusing on these first two things, which is getting more relationships built with people who are in your marketplace and who want what you can connect them with people who can do this for you and get them to make that decision, right? Whether you're an affiliate, whether you're doing like pay-per-call stuff, like I have done and primarily did, I just got to kind of translate that over to the agency model. So the agency model is just, okay, there's a lot of people looking for services that I can help provide, right? If we get a ton of calls for video marketing, I'm going to figure out how to get systems in place and people in place to make sure that we can fulfill on that. And so, if you kind of leave it as this, weird kind of cloud of like, oh, I've got a business, like, what am I really doing? Like, it helps to really drill down and represent things as accurately as you can, so that then you can say, okay, the bottleneck or the sticking point or the thing that's limiting my growth right now is traffic, or it's, I'm getting a ton of traffic, nobody's making a decision. Well, maybe you're getting the wrong traffic, maybe your offer's not that good, right? And you can kind of start to look at those things a little bit differently, and really know what to pay attention to, because like there's a whole bunch of, Mike and I have talked about this, and I think, Brad and I have been, kind of familiar with each other and friends for long enough that like it really comes down to like, what are you going to pay your attention to every day?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And if you can pay attention to things that are actually important and good and true, well, then that's the game. You've won the game.
Dude, that's
already.
actually key. So Napoleon actually told his staff to never wake him with good news. He also rejected the mail for 2 weeks, and he would never open the mail. He would wait 2 weeks to open all mail. And if it was something that was not bad enough to be brought to his attention, breaking this rule, it would usually resolve itself by the time he looked at it. So the consumption, especially for me, like having ADD and everything, my consumption is key. Like if I open up 30, 40 tabs, dude, I'll spend all day going through every 30, 40 tabs.
Oh, yeah, and they'll sit there for days, right?
Exactly.
I'm going to come back to this because I just opened this, right?
Exactly, dude. So I think consumption, the way you said it, is absolutely important. It's consumption and systemization. So what I've learned from Brad and where my business has grown a lot with Brad is systemization, like you were talking about. Once you systemize and you actually sit down and you can put on paper with pen. I'm not talking about digital. There's a dude in the audience that smacked me around until I started using paper and pen. He's a good fucker out there. But once they started, what's that?
Is it me or someone else?
It actually was. It was Cam, dude. It was both of you. Yeah? But Cam like smacked the shit out of me.
He didn't listen to me.
No, I'm sorry, dude. It's like my wife. I don't listen to her either, dude.
Well, it takes like 7 contacts, right? Until somebody actually hears and sees what you got going for.
But once you put it in, once I put it down on paper, then I can start to draw out everything that's there. And if I draw it out, I start to see it in a better way. And then it can be systemized, like you said. Now there's video offers that you can sell. Yeah. You start to see the opportunity that's in front of you. When you write it down and you start to look at the different aspects you can offer to other people that is generating your revenue now. And it just grows exponentially when you start to help others, in my opinion.
I think knowing your core competencies really helps as well. What am I good at? Am I good at spamming the internet? Am I good at selling agency clients? Am I good at, doing this, doing that? Focus on that. And then if you need to supplement with the other stuff, that's fine. But I mean, that's why I love lead gen. And just like Fletch said, it's much easier to scale that type of business than it is a construction company, where you're a one-man band and figuring that stuff out. I'd much rather sell leads and set up like a traditional business.
Trucks and stuff. Yeah.
Well,
Exactly.
the skill set too. I mean, honestly, like people, it's like when Jordan and I started the locksmith shit when he was already doing it years ago, a decade ago. When people bring stuff and there's an opportunity to make money, if you are, I feel like it's a big advantage to be able to say my skill set is digital and I can branch out into whatever in the real world that I want to, versus being like, I am the dude that fixes cars and I just want to get more business. Like that's a way to limit yourself in business. And when you have the digital skill set, you now can step into those types of offers and make strategic partners of people with those types of businesses, and your revenue and wealth can grow, and so can theirs, right? There's a good question in there by Funny Cute Babies, Craig, if you want to pull that up.
Yep.
Is that you, Mike? How are you on here and then on?
I'm not that cute, bro.
Yeah.
All right. So if you guys were to start all over again, how would you do it to make money the quickest if you could only start an affiliate SEO site?
I would do pay-per-lead if at all possible.
I would find something where you could make a phone call. I would not sell data if you wanted to make money fast. Honestly, I think phone calls are so much easier to monetize. There's a reason why we always drifted towards phone calls. I look at data fill and form fill and lead sales. That is a secondary revenue stream to a phone call, right? That's to capture everyone that's not calling you. That's people that hit the website and your landing page, you do it there. So I would shift it to a phone call. But if you have to start an SEO site and you're selling either affiliate data or a phone call, the quickest way is going to be GMB, but that's also going to rely on what you can do and your connections and how you can get that shit up.
Or
right?
again, I guess it goes back if you need like instant money, and you can halfway sell, go out there and take on a client, even if you don't want to, I guess. I mean, I'm a PPL guy, but I mean, if someone's willing to write me a $1,500 check or a $3,000 check or whatever the number is, and I can get money in hand, then, go that route. Or go out and find a private offer for PPL. And this is, of course, if you know what you're doing, get an advance on the lead. Say, okay, we start out with, you have to pre-buy these. So we can,
escrow accounts are good. Yeah,
exactly. So get that money in hand so you can start building the assets. Say, look, we don't have any assets. We're going to have to build them. So you're going to have some skin in the game. We're going to need $1,500 to start. And then we'll put that as a credit towards your first,
Now, what I will say on the note of affiliate, I was going through Craig's. I'm going to do a shameless plug for Craig right now, dude, because I was going through his training. I've actually got it up right here. And I'm not going to say which chapter it is, but there is something in that there where it talks. It's around number 10, 11, 12 to 13, somewhere in there.
10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15.
Exactly. It's like I'd say it's around section 10 through 13. That is probably the quickest way. You combine a couple of those sections, probably the quickest way to revenue, that's going to let you rank and make money at the same time. Because I think the best thing to look at, no matter what you're going to do for monetization, if you have an affiliate offer that you've done the research on and it's a good affiliate offer and you're willing to get skimmed on, you want to do something right away that's going to rank your site and convert you and continue to provide revenue over time, which means you need to do a tactic that's going to do all that at once. And Craig talks about those tactics in public. He's talked about them with everybody. But when you start to look at some of the creative ways to rank, like with email, with CTR and shit like that, that is the direction I would take right now, because everything else requires connection. I can say GMB, but GMB is going to be hard for you to go in and get GMB if you're going to do that. I'd say GMB whether you're doing local or freaking national, just because of what comes with it. So I would recommend finding the tactics that allow you to build your rank and convert at the same time without having to wait on the SEO process that everyone thinks takes a few months, right? Because the right process with SEO will take you only a few weeks, 4 days to a few weeks. And you can do that if you're willing to put budget into it. But if you don't have budget, don't go into affiliate, dude, because you need to be able to waste money in affiliate.
Yeah. The thing I would kind of, go, Craig. Yeah,
So
it's your show, man.
What I'm also going to say is if some affiliates don't pay out, for example, Amazon don't give you money till 2 months down the line. So what you get paid in March is actually what you earned in January. So it's not a quick solution with a lot of these guys as well. So just bear that in mind as well, guys.
It's really important to understand that if you're going to do affiliate right and you're going to run paid, that you need to come in with a budget to lose money for a week or two to determine how that paid process is going to work, because you're not going to get it right the first time. And a lot of people, what I would say, Craig, how many people have you seen that just have not ran their offer long enough and they thought they had a losing offer, and then you've realized, like, you can see the data and say, well, if they just pushed it this much further, they would have found the profit and they would have been making money within 2 days, dude.
Yeah, it's like if you've seen the case study that I done with the girl who done it. She pushed through, and it's very easy to lose faith after the first month or the second month going, it's a whole lot of work and not a lot of return, but you've just got to push through that barrier. And I think month 3 and month 4, you start to get hope. And then hopefully by month 6, month 9, month 12, you're earning good money. But anyone that says it's quick and easy, I've yet to see it.
Brent said something great down there, actually, talking about a common mistake is that affiliate is passive money. Affiliate can become passive money, like he says, after you have
PPL. Yeah, once you have it set up. Yeah.
So, but it's definitely like when I was doing affiliate all the time, like I was building landers constantly, dude. Like I was split testing constantly. So yeah, I was making good money. I was making a few thousand a day as a solo dude doing affiliate, but I was working my ass off, dude. I was working harder than I want to work, So
that's not
I don't want to. What's that? Nothing at all, dude. I was working a little bit, bro.
That still might be harder than you wanted to work, though, Mike.
Yeah.
It is harder than I wanted.
He worked his ass off. That's why it's just flat back there. It's crazy.
Dude, my wife says that shit all the time, dude.
What, you got a flat ass?
I do, bro.
Yeah, they say I got a fat ass, but it is what it is. Yeah.
All the boys say it, bro.
Yeah. Back that ham up. Yeah, that's what they say.
No, it's fun. Like circling back around to something Brad said, like selling. You can sell, you get money today. And the way I started selling those leads was similar to what you guys were talking about as far as escrow accounts. I didn't even call it that. It was just like, hey, you want leads? I'll sell you 20. It's $2,000 a day. Or I'll go talk to these other 4 solar companies.
That works well, dude.
Yeah.
And I had generated enough phone calls for them where they're like, whoa, wait. Let me go ahead and just cut this. Let me get these and make sure they're good. And then we can go from there. Right.
Yep.
So you can get money today. You still got to produce the results or you're going to burn the relationship. And then you got to start all over again. So like for somebody completely starting fresh, like if you get yourself in a bad situation like I was, and I think all too often that happens, right? Selling. You've got to leverage your relationship to be able to then get in the game and have some budget to work with, and then actually get some training so that you can actually deliver on that process. And from there you can kind of grow. But if you're broke, it's going to be really hard. and
it is.
A long time.
Here's the thing is if you're a father or a husband or a wife or mother, whatever, and
I'm all of the above.
If you're all of them, if you need to make money, you cannot be concerned that you're going to fail. And this is a huge thing because you kill your confidence and you kill the sale if you're worried. And this is, you have to have the balls to be able to take the risk to lose the money. There's been multiple times where I've risked 5 figures a month, 6 figures a month. And in people's employment, like when I was working contract ship by myself, I had my office in San Diego. I had my staff. It was just me selling and my staff in office. I got in yelling matches with some clients about that when they're trying to burn us. And I had to walk out, shitting my pants. I threw up one time. I walked out and if it didn't work, I was going to fire my whole fucking staff, right? It was a huge portion of our income, a large ass contract. And I had to basically say, screw you, you're screwing us. We're done. We're not doing it. And I knew the call was good, but if you don't have the confidence to make that kind of call in business, I think that's something that you have to work on is finding that kind of confidence. In affiliate, in this case, with this question, what I did when I was in affiliate, 2007, 2006, and 2005, is I would put the affiliate program up, make money on the affiliate, but I would do review type blog posts, right? And then I would review companies, and I would call those companies up and say, like, look, your competitor, I'd life in my freaking teeth, essentially. I'd say, your competitor is trying to buy this space right now, and I'm going to sell it to your competitor, but to be ethical, I had to call you and let you know that I have all this traffic. Here's the stats. Do you want to buy this page? You know? And that was only a few $100 that I would make, but I would make a few $100 with each phone call that I did for that. And these were sites that took no time to put up. It's just a matter of getting creative with your traffic and then using like social engineering to make a problem for someone else, if that's the way you go. Like, I don't market that way anymore, but there was a time where I did a lot of shit I don't do right now too. So when my line was really far over, like beyond fucking anything that I would even think about now, I would make the situations that put people into my advertising that makes me money. And that's, if you take that attitude and you think about it like that, find your ethical line, you can create those situations for yourself without lying to someone in their face, right? So
I really like the word you use there, Mike, which is engineering, right? Engineer conditions such that you're going to win, right? And get things in place such that you're going to win. Like for me, I wasn't lying at all. I did have 4 other solar people I was going to go talk to, and if they didn't buy, I was going to the next appointment. And I was like,
well, see,
I don't even know if I can take this because I already set this meeting, right? And so you can engineer conditions, but you've got to be able to think properly about it, and really. You know, you look at SEO, it's a trade, right? So is entrepreneurship. And those two trades are going to take you a long way. So sales, right? You can become good at those trades and understand what to do to engineer as far as success conditions go, where you kind of step one, win, and then you attack, right? If you put yourself in a position where, hey, all this stuff's figured out. Now I get to go, you know, talk to people. I get to go line up affiliates. I get to go get on CPA offers that are, you know, kind of exclusive or whatever it might be. You've got to kind of engineer conditions in such a way where the confidence comes from knowing you've got options and that you've got a value to bring to the table. Right.
Well, and in those situations,
dating references, and it goes back to that, you know. Yeah. Or my favorite sales thing is Tommy Boy. He's like, if this doesn't work out, I got a meat lovers in the trunk. I can, you know, Tommy want weenie.
What's interesting is the way you said it. I had 4 people there, and that's why I was able to call everyone and make those sales on those sites, is because someone would always buy the traffic. Like I always had a backup to buy traffic and to buy advertising on my sites, because that's the space I came from. I came from advertising with brands like Land Rover, Jose Cuervo and shit. Like this was my experience. So I always was looking at it like, I'm going to do affiliate, but I'm also going to make revenue on data. I'm also going to make revenue on RPM type shit. And so I guess going back to that question of starting out, what I would recommend is that you have at least 3 or 4 revenue streams if you're starting affiliate, that affiliate not be your only revenue stream. You do not want to rely on it. Like, I'm not kidding. I've gone to bed multiple times making great money through affiliate, and I've woken up making no money from like 4 or 5 streams. Like, thinking I'm diversified enough, you know, and Brad and I can't say it enough that you need to diversify your streams, because if you don't, you're going to regret it in the future. I guarantee you, if you don't do it.
You ever cross streams, Mike?
With Craig, and he has a question.
Okay. Yeah. I have a question as well, right? So I used to do similar to what Fletch done, exact match domains, just chuck up a website, rent them out. Now, it may be completely different in the US, but I always found problems like builders, plumbers, and shit like that, where I would phone them up and say, hey, mate, I want you to buy these leads. I'm getting a shit ton of leads. And they're like, yeah, we'll take your leads, but we're not fucking paying for them. So is there any particular niches you would avoid, like the construction niche, or where you are, was that not a problem? Because certainly for me, even guys just now in business still don't value SEO, web design, or anything like that, because they're so fucking far behind the times. In Scotland, I mean, I don't mean the whole of the UK, but just wondering if that was ever a problem, or if you targeted specific niches when you were doing that.
Well, so for me, it was nice because I could take my own phone calls. I go out and just run the job. It's like, hey, I made $1,000 yesterday on these 3 phone calls. And so, I'm looking at getting myself out of the field. If you want to buy this phone call, awesome. I'm looking to kind of scale. I'd like to work with you in the future, but no big deal if you don't buy. I was in I say unique. It's not unique at all. Getting a general contractor's license is not that unique, but having a fault, like, you set yourself up to win. Like there was no way I could lose that game because I was going to make money one way or the other. One way I would have to figure out how to scale my plumbing, my HVAC, my solar, my insulation, whatever. The other way, I get out of the field and I can scale as well. So
Plus, you
this is
can
really
speak their
about strategy.
language.
Yeah,
I think that's
again,
important too.
speaking their language. You know, so for me personally, I focus on travel and tours because I used to be like a fishing guide in Alaska. I understand that stuff and boating and raft tours and stuff like that. Home improvement, and mechanic work. Right? These are things also that, well, aside from travel and tours, these are kind of immune to the shutdown that we've experienced in 2020. You've got to get, like, they're not going to say somebody can't come to your house and fix your air conditioner because people will die.
Oh yeah, no, that's
right?
why
Mechanic work, it's always going to be open. Yeah. Yep. So I look at ways that I've engineered kind of my situation to avoid failure conditions. And so, you know, keeping that general contractor's license in my back pocket, I can't really lose, you know? And so, you know, think about things that you can do. If you've developed a relationship with somebody who can do the work, don't burn that.
Never.
That's your fallback, right? That's your way you cannot lose. And then frankly, if nobody buys, build a business. If these are valuable leads, like figure that out too, right? You can kind of start to engineer this more and more. So there's ways to make money immediately, but it becomes like your confidence really, really grows when you've got kind of all of the dead ends like blocked off. And it's like, okay, now I just get to put kind of I say effort. It's not really effort when at that point you're just like trading up.
Well,
like,
especially
I can trade up or I can fall back and I'm good either way. Right.
If you have the backup of somebody to fulfill, or you have a backup like that, and you've engineered a situation and you are running affiliate, when you catch them skimming on your ass for a percentage you're not happy with, now you have the balls to go to that affiliate manager and say, look, dude, I'm taking my traffic elsewhere. Screw you. You guys did this. And you have to be able to stand up for yourself in business, or people will just.
You don't have to bluff it. If you have a fallback, you don't have to bluff. And so you can just be real. Like I'm not overly salesy, although I've done sales for a long time. Like, it's just like, this is the deal, man. Like I wanted to make this much money and scale with you, and it seemed good, but this isn't working if you're not going to keep your terms of the agreement in place. Right. And if you know the numbers, like Brad talked about, like I knew the numbers in home improvement. So it's like, you know, I know what the call's worth, and I let people make a lot of money. Right. And I made a lot of money myself. And it was more attractive to do that, but I could always just go back and fix the cars myself or hire some mobile mechanics or whatever it might be.
All your numbers.
Yeah. And so I've kind of tended to stay with smaller businesses, right? We rank for firearms nationwide, right? I've taken on large clients.
You have it? Do you have the traffic right now?
With what?
Firearms.
No. It was a project I worked on.
Dude.
Oh, I know. Yeah, it was. So, well, getting back to like these shifting points in kind of my career, that was something that came about. I still don't know exactly how I got referred, but somebody said, you know, that's the guy to talk to if you want to get this thing done right. I didn't know how to do it right at all. Right. I was still like really focusing on like, okay, you need links and a little on page, but I didn't understand what search engines are really trying to do. And that, like,
in your opinion, what are search engines really trying to do?
Provide value. And so they have to understand that as long as they provide something that the visitor to google.com has perceived value in, they're going to win. And so I started looking at like, okay, so like, what do they have to be doing? Like, what do they have to be doing? Like, there's no way around it. Like, how are they going to understand the nature of the content on the page? How are they going to understand? Like, I look at kind of signals, right? It's a great term. Like, you've got to have a clear signal, but you've got to have a powerful signal. And so as long as you've got clarity and power, you've got most of the game won.
All the time.
Yeah.
Well.
Yeah. And so, like, you know, I've listened to what you guys have as far as like your training goes as well. And, you know, at that point I started like thinking about clusters, right? It's like, okay, well, like, how is this person going to have influence? I say this person, like I proxy people for a URL, right? How is this URL going to have influence? It's like, well, if a lot of people know about them and they say, that's the answer, that's your anchor text, and that person is also in that space to be able to give that vote with some authority, and then that page or that entity on the internet is about that thing, that's going to be something that over time is going to continue to grow and grow. And you talk about the iterative crawl and all that kind of stuff.
SEO too.
Yeah.
I'd like to point out to people in there is that there was someone who came to me. They landed a multi-location gig, and they were running their campaign all wrong, and they were overspending on link building, and kind of just slowly pointed out that, like, look at what you have here on page, like, and the pages you have on site, link these together, right? And then they're like, and they're building all these commercial anchors. And I'm like, dude, look at the title of your page, look at the address of your company, and then think about the other things that might be in a citation type link, and why change what works for building your entity through crap that doesn't work as well. Even if you're building solid links, why not just avoid all the extra work that comes with it and just go for your title, your URL, and the entity data on the page, and use that as your anchors, right? Because, I mean, realistically,
you're talking about like efficiency, right?
Yeah.
Because
exactly.
you can rank it with just a lot of links that are lower quality. I say links that are lower quality. It's not really links. It's referring content. It's content referring to your page that is of lower quality, or it's less direct, right? It's less about a single topic, and it's harder to understand. And like, we go back to conversion, then, like, the first rule of conversion is don't confuse somebody. Okay, if you're trying to convert Google to understand that your property is about a thing, don't confuse them, right?
Exactly.
And so that's why I'm like, I proxy people with Google.
You see it like I do too. It's all like, I look at, like, once you start to, it's weird how everything's a network, dude. Like, I see everything as a freaking network. Like, once you're making money with one thing, then there's a network of ways to make money. Once you build your anchor text, then there's a network of content pieces, and then there's a network of websites. And, like, if you are efficient and you systemize, you can build one thing that becomes this giant freaking empire, and it's just not extra work, right? So I think that it goes back to what you said first, with systemizing and seeing the opportunities you have is like the key for today. There is a question in there from Chris.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Let's see. POV on city-based site versus regional. I would actually go after all of it on a single site if you're going to build one site.
Yeah. If you had to pick, I'd probably go regional, and you can take that city-based. Like, I've done state level, like, drug rehab Texas, and then I go after all the largest cities in Texas, while always also going after any Texas term. You rank for drug rehab Texas, you'll get some calls. You rank for drug rehab Dallas, you'll get some calls. And it just builds up.
You got to kind of look at, like, how you're going to monetize it, right? Yeah. So, like, if you've got a contact with somebody that only operates in one location, go after that first, right? Mm-hmm. If you've got a CPA offer that'll take whatever anywhere, well, then build it out to that scale, right? Like, and make sure you don't fail, right?
If you've got a client that you're doing SEO for and you need to build out the network anyway, then it makes sense to build that on a local basis. And I've done that before in the legal arena in Arizona. They were doing 3 cities, but they could accept anyone in Arizona. So I built out their site the way I wanted it. I linked to the 3 different, I think I did 3 different cities, 3 different variations of personal injury, essentially. So 3 different subsets. So that's 9 new pages that I added to the site. I said, hey, I'm building these other properties. I'll send you the traffic from that. I said, okay. So I set up, I essentially cloned and no indexed their original site. So there was no dupe issues or anything. And then from my network that I built them out, which was all expired domains in the legal niche, that was ranking everywhere in Arizona. We had like 4 or 5 listings per page just from auto site builders. And then I would cloak over to this secondary site I had for them, and they would get that much more benefit. But they were paying me, I think at the time either $6 or $8 grand a month for the 3 locations, 3 different sub niches. So I thought that was enough to not charge them extra for that network. But a network is something that you can sell as well. Anyone looking for additional revenue streams. I don't like the traditional rank and rent where you go after one. I'd rather, hey, let's take over the state and then charge 3-4 grand a month at least.
One of the things that's important in that note too is that when we talk about wanting to monetize in multiple ways, you need to look at your website as just a vehicle for that monetization, right? It's like when you're eating, the food is just a vehicle for the sauce and shit. But realistically, you don't want to limit yourself and start local unless you are building a network. If you are building a single site to monetize, then you need to be thinking about what every stream is that you're going to be selling. Okay. So are you going to be selling advertising in the form of RPM or CPM type advertising? Are you going to be selling content page sponsorships? And in that case, the larger sites just do better. So the more ways you have to monetize, then go to the national, and the best site that you're ever going to build is one that's targeting national and local at the same time.
What do we call that, Mike?
That's organic, baby.
Organic.
Organic.
Yes, I love making shit up to confuse other people.
Exactly. Organic websites work the best. So local,
especially in rehab, which that's where Mike and I have done a ton of work. So it just makes sense to do organic. You get a client that's based in South Florida, they would prefer to accept outside of their state.
Local sites are limited in the fact that there's not a lot of opportunity for content, and
if you're going to do local, you got to shit out a bunch. You know?
Yeah, you have to go network. Like, the best way to do local is to go network, in my opinion. That is the best way to go local.
Build a bot that buys the site, sets it up, uploads the theme, switches out the keyword, and then move on. You know,
exactly.
I've got a few of those somewhere. So.
You do.
Yeah,
you do.
Craig, there was a.
What workout do you do, dude?
A question about my fitness.
David Troy has a question that's really important.
All I do is
X3, show, baby.
Yeah, X3, which is band, and boxing. That's all I do.
So he chases his kids around and swings at them.
No, I actually, my brother-in-law. I don't think I've told you the story yet. He tried to do stand-up with me at Thanksgiving. So we're slap boxing a little, so, and he's, eating. He's like, well, if we were grappling, I could take you. I said, all right, let's
dude,
grapple.
Did you see Kevin Hart's new freaking?
No, I started it. Yeah, because it's
no so funny when he talks about boxing, bro. It's so funny, dude. You'll love it, dude. You gotta watch it, man.
So he tried to take me down, and then I stuffed that. Got side mount, and then was just digging, this elbow right.
Brad's always side mounting dudes.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I like.
Dude, that started before you started grappling, though.
I like the north-south position, Mike. Okay,
the which one?
North-south. Look it up.
Is that Urban Dictionary?
It would probably be on there.
The ball koozie.
That's Craig's move. So I don't. He's got that copywritten or trademarked or whatever you can do.
.com.
Yeah. Ballkoozie.com. He sells them. Yeah. With
he sells ball koozies.
That's his number one.
We've been trying to figure out where you make your money, dude.
Yeah, he sent me that screenshot the other day. I was like, "What's that for?" He's like, "I rank everywhere for ball koozie. 5 ball koozies in city, state. Organic site." But all koozies are us.
Is delegating to guys like young Brent in the chat there. He actually gives the ball koozies out, so I just bring the traffic. So.
You're just introducing two people interested in ball koozies.
It's networking, dude. Yeah. It's social engineering.
Yeah. I posted in the Facebook group. I said, anyone got any ball koozie traffic? And that's how Craig and I met. Because I was trying to sell my ball koozies. I was handcrafting wood and everything. Mike 3D prints them, I believe, don't you?
I do 3D print them, and then I paint them, bro.
Yeah, and then you've got the clown faces on the front. Yeah.
What have I stumbled into here? Where am I? What are you talking about?
But yeah, no, I think I got through one of my 15 questions today for you, brother. We'll have to bring you back on sometime
it's
so I can
good.
finish the list.
We got another one? We got like 9 minutes, don't we?
Yeah, I do. Let's see. Let me look at my list. All right.
Yeah, you've got
That's
do
fun.
you have a free Facebook group out right now, Fletch, or is that
Yeah,
paid?
what's up?
A few. Yeah. So like one of the things I started realizing over time, and this has come from knowing like David Mills and getting into a lot of his training, that I really look at success differently. I don't look at it really primarily from a standpoint of like, I want to not rely on luck. And luck comes down to a lot more than you'd realize. It comes to
We
the
create
fact
luck, brother.
you're born a
Yeah.
tall male that speaks English natively. Like it's like you've already got a lot of luck cooked into that. So
No, I'm a short male that speaks English. Okay.
some say,
It's
well,
not
being
luck.
from Missouri, I can start talking about cattywampus and divans
There
and
you
front
go,
room and
yeah.
all that stuff, and nobody would understand anything I say. But
Womper-jawed.
we're gonna get right back into that north-south mounting position.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. But anyway, like figuring out what you need to engineer in your own life, right? As far as success conditions go, it's going to help you a ton. And it feels like it's unknowable almost. You've got to go be a better trade person. And that's not really the case. Like you really need to look contextually at what you need to put in place to make sure that you are more successful with the properly uncovered, not set. Like I can say, oh, I'm going to make 100,000 a month, but like, why? Right? Is that really the properly uncovered goal? And so,
Very much so.
yeah, you've got to kind of look at that, right? And so there's kind of two steps in that. One is like stable base, like make sure I'm taken care of, I can pay the bills, right? And then getting done with money forever, right? I now no longer need to trade value for what you think is important. I just get to create it based on what I know is important, right? And so those are two like waypoints, like kind of places you need to get in your kind of money career to be able to play this game well. And so I've got that group. It's called Fat Path for Success. It's on Facebook. And I post in there from time to time. I run a weekly webinar about it. And then from the SEO standpoint, one of the angles I kind of, I know SEO and I've taught it with OMG for, about 7 years. That's kind of, sun's down on my part of working on that with them. So I still teach and train it. But one of the things I noticed was that, some legislation changed and really shifted the playing field online. And more we're going to be met with what I experienced in general contracting, which is you got to have a license to actually do the work so that you can get inspected and have a
as long as, on
occupancy.
that note, as long as 10 years ago, Jordan and I were having to pull licenses to be able to do lead gen in Locksmith and to do it right. Yeah. And so on that note, on what you were talking about with, is it the Fat Path is what you called it?
Yeah,
or?
So I like Fat Path. That's my license plate.
Thursday,
right.
And this is, I call it the middle path, bro. Our philosophy is very similar, dog.
All right, cool.
And this Thursday, we're actually going to be jumping on and chatting about engineering success and shit in SEO with Craig. So if you jump over to the NFG group on Facebook or Craig's group, we'll get a link out to you guys with that time on Thursday. We're just going to be going over, I think Brad might jump on if he has time, and just be going over some of that shit where the goal setting for me, like when I found balance in my life and realized that I really do need to set goals, it really fucking altered a lot of stuff for me. So I think it's very key for people to be exposed to this as they're starting a business and not suffer through a whole bunch of nonsense like I did and other people I know did. Going through this process, Well,
a lot of SEOs, I found, and myself included, can't get out of their own way. They learn how to do, they get a base of knowledge with SEO. They're like, okay, cool. What else can I learn with SEO? It's like, no, you don't need anything else. Okay, but what else? What else can I learn? No, you have everything. Okay, gotcha. What else can I learn? I'm like, no, just start making money now, please, for the love of God.
So Brad, that is like full stop. Everybody pay attention to what Brad just said, because what it's going to feel like a lot of times is if you hang your hat on being a trade SEO, that is like pushing harder and learning more in that specific skill is going to feel like the way you're going to incrementally up your income. It's not. It's going to be on looking at lead generation and sales and business entities and partnerships and relationships and these things in the periphery to engineer then the conditions where your now trade, which you can systematize and get other people to help you with.
I would say 1% of our students, maybe 2% of our students break that like $10,000 to $20,000 a month mark, because they're the ones that can see the path forward. And that's what I've realized, and Brad and I have been talking about, and that's why I've been like talking to you and Craig, is that we have an opportunity now, I think, to help people not only learn the skill set and the tech they need to do this, but also the mindset to break those walls. And that's why OMG was a great thing, but I've never liked the idea of telling people to be a one-man shop, because it's a limiting aspect of becoming that trade or that tech, rather than realizing that it's all, this is kind of what we got back to in the beginning, is that being a good SEO is great. Now go find a better one to work for you and do other shit too, and expand your business. And don't be stuck in the trade, like you were just saying. Expand past it and break those walls for yourself, because 98% of people I see, they put a wall up for themselves, and they just don't break past it, because I'm the SEO and that's it. Exactly.
You end up with a wall and a floor too. And I think who's that? Tony Robbins or something. One of the gurus was talking about it, where he's like, yeah, you have a floor where if you hit that, like say you've got to make let's just say $5,000 a month to pay your bills and everything, you know that, and you get close to that, you're like, shit, you know, and you bust ass and you get up there. He's like, but a lot of people don't realize they also have a ceiling as well, and they're going to hit that and then like really back off. Then they're going to hit this, and they're going to just keep bouncing from floor to ceiling.
Yeah, those norms are huge. Like what you think is normal and what you think you should, like this is normal, this is natural. Like natural, huge category that affects us as well as other people as well.
Yeah, you've got to break your anchor.
Yeah. That's the thing. Like with like one man gang, the concept is like you do everything yourself. What I kind of began to realize is that it could also be taken in such a way where you are personally responsible for your success.
Exactly. It has to be taken that way.
That's a much better way of looking at it, is like you're not necessarily pushing all the buttons yourself. Right. But you are the only person that you can hold responsible for how well you do. Right. Yep. How much impact you have, how much income you make, how many people you help, how many people you get results for, all that kind of thing. And so when you start to look at that, it's like, well, there's only so much time I can go into a WordPress site and update on-site stuff and build links. Like if I need bigger and better results for myself as well as the people I work with, I'm going to have to get these systems like kind of dialed so that we 100%. Can actually do more. And so like being personally responsible for what the impact you have in what you do, it shifts the game in such a way you're no longer, you're playing a game that more accurately portrays the game that everybody else that you have to interact with to get value. Right? You've got to trade with somebody to get value. And so getting closer and closer to whatever that might be in a bigger way is going to be better for you as well as the people you work with. So yeah, I love the concept, but I think myself included, I looked at it as like, oh, I've got to be the person that's actually writing the spin.
I did it for years, man.
Yeah.
I mean, until I was
very
working
common.
With realistically, dude, like I couldn't break away from being I didn't even know the freaking industry. I did the industry for like 12 years or whatever before I even knew there was this freaking industry, you know, like I was just making money online at home by myself, dude. So it changes everything when you start looking at it the right way. I think the right way is to look at everyone as a learning opportunity, everyone as a way to benefit each other. And because we grow from other people's inputs, and if we have a jacked up input we're putting out in them, they're going to give us a jacked up input back. So there's it gets deep. Like my mind goes deep down.
Garbage out, right?
Exactly. It's consumption again. So I would say pay attention to Facebook or email this week, because we are going to get together towards the end of the week and have another conversation about engineering and stuff. So is there anything we need to cover besides ODYS today?
Nah, that's pretty much it. Well, from my end anyway. What about you guys?
Yeah, we've got a Q&A for yeah. So that's coming up in like 15 minutes or so.
We got to do So if you are in NFGP, we're doing the Q&A. We're doing a webinar here in about 15 minutes. Jump in there, get signed up. If you're not in there and you want to come along and find out what we're doing with personalization and some of the philosophy we're talking about, then jump in there.
NFTP.digital/Craig if you want to hop in. You got 15 minutes before we start.
I may jump. I may jump in there too. Is that cool?
I'm going to actually throw you a studio link, Brad. Do you care if he jumps in and inputs on some of the goal shit so he can let us help with some of the answers?
I look like an a-hole if I say yes, I'm lying. So,
I just threw you under the fucking bus. When I was a kid, bro, my mom would have beat my ass for doing that. I never learned. No,
I'm a different weight class than you, Brad. So it's all good.
Right. So there's a couple people. So I'm going to drag Fletch in, and there's a couple other people that had some questions that are really good that I'm going to drag into the studio so we can get some like the whole process laid out because there's some deep questions. So jump into the training if you're not there.
If you're already in there, check the Slack room, right?
Yep.
The link. Yeah. So
exactly. I guess we'll see you next Thursday. Fletch, we'll have you back on again because we need to continue the conversation.
We got at least 7 more questions. So
exactly.
I'll prepare.
I've got 25.
Oh boy,
this
is growing. Yeah.
All right, fellas.
All koozie.
Guys.
See you in the back room.